I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today is going to be a real barn burner, I believe. It's going to be quite a show. We're kind of doing our regular timed show, but also doing a bit of a barn burner, a reveal, an emergency broadcast at the same time. And to that end, we'll have a special guest. For the moment, it's just you and I. It's Christian Apologist 24, yep. And we'll be having Rachel Nichols joining us soon. So how are things in your end of the world, Christian Apologist?
Yeah, I suppose things are okay as okay can be. I mean, it's pretty easy to identify we're living in the end times now. Well, I personally believe that, but
yeah,
I'm still alive. I haven't got a chip in my brain yet, and I haven't had to make plans to build a nuclear bunker just yet. Although I think we're getting close.
Yeah. Excuse me.
It's like winning bipolar. I'm by winning. You understand winning? Wow, winning.
Oh. Alrighty. Yeah, that's.
I consider that winning.
It is. I mean, you've just pretty much summed up the Christian spirit. Even though we're going through all this crazy stuff, we're being subjected to all this crazy stuff. Frog in my throat naturally when I start. We, we're in good spirits despite everything.
Well, Christ is already victorious, so we've won already. And if I die tomorrow, then you're just bringing me closer to the Lord anyway. So let it be, as the Beatles once said.
Yeah, let it be. Or REM, it's the end of the world as we know it. Yeah. Hello,
certainly
Rachel.
is.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, hello, Nick.
Okay, so Rachel, this is Christian Apologist, Rachel.
Hello, Chris.
Nichols.
Christian.
Hi, good evening. It's nice to meet you. I mean, Chris is not my name.
I know.
Yeah, so Rachel Nichols is an author, which, I've been kicking around books myself for years. Still didn't take the last step, so definitely admire for that. She's got a Substack. Sorry, go.
I had a look. I did have a brief, a little gander on Amazon. I did have a little, look. So yeah, no, I might be persuaded to buy your book.
Cool.
One is only available in electronic form, but I'm planning on putting it out in print after adding a couple short stories to it, which I've already written.
Yeah, Audible form's better for me anyway. Or if you're going to do an Audible one. Do you know what? I've got about 15 books that I need to read. I buy them with good intentions, and they just never get read. I've just never been a reader, to be honest. But there we go.
So for those the audience members that are not familiar with you, Rachel, would you like to do a little introduction of yourself?
Regarding my books, they are spec fiction. I try to write the stuff that George MacDonald and C.S. Lewis and Tolkien did. That kind of thing.
Okay. All right, and you also have a psychology background, a degree in psychology, if I remember correctly.
English with a minor in psychology.
Okay.
Ideally, it's great for a writer of fiction or plays.
Okay, all right. So I was under the impression you had, because from what I remember, you've written on the subject about the impact of psychology in like maybe a couple of books.
Psychiatry. People confuse the two, but psychology and psychiatry are radically different. Psychology is more like a branch of humanities. Sociology, it has more in common with that. Soft science and psychiatry is, I really don't have much good to say about that. It is a pseudoscience. It claims that they can take a soul. Well, this sounds like a straw man, but they claim that the mind itself is a thing they could put in a test tube or cure the way they could a physical organ. Now, the brain, they say that the brain is the mind. They hang to that premise. But modern psychiatry basically is materialism.
Yeah, they pretty much put that out on every film, every program, and every textbook that's like known to man as well.
Yep.
They believe that we are nothing but brains as far as our motives, and it's all due to brain chemistry and genes. It's biodeterminism.
Yeah, that takes more faith to believe in that than it does to believe that I have a soul. You go say that to anyone who's had a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience, and I tell you what, I guarantee you, most of the people that believe in this stuff will talk about ghosts, that they've been haunted, that they've got loved ones in heaven, absolutely all sorts. I see it all the time, so I never ever get persuaded by any of these buffoons. They do my head in.
Freud and Jung and a bunch of others were really into the occult.
Who was that? Lloyd DeJohn?
Freud.
Oh, right. I was going to say.
Yeah. He had some really weird ideas.
Oh, that's strange.
So
Never mind.
let me cue the video for this that topic. What we're talking about is basically the thumbnail in action.
Now, how old are you?
7.
What do you see?
Something's in my room.
What is it?
It's like it's a figure. It's hovering over me.
You are in a safe place, Will.
It's touching.
Where is it touching you?
It's touching me down there. I'm nervous.
You don't have to be nervous, Will.
We start dancing. The dancing is just beautiful. 'Cause we can make a lot of love before the sun goes down. Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight. Hey, afternoon delight. Sky rockets in flight. Da 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 da.
I'm sorry, Rick.
I have better things to do with my time.
Hey, afternoon delight. Come on, one dance. You really hypnotized me, you know.
For God's sake, Will.
What? Oh, come on. He left. You can't pin that on me.
I told you to cooperate with these people.
Look into my eyes.
Get out, Will.
I don't need therapy.
That's enough. Get out.
Ah.
I called Mel Weintraub this morning to see
Oh,
if he was
what's the
available.
use?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that what's interesting here is that even though it's mocking psychiatry, and this is a character who's being forced to go through different psychiatrists, and he's like basically tearing them all apart. But in this scene, you can see all the Far East religious pagans symbols and so on put in place in the background, kind of make it look hippy dippy. But the challenge is not so much whether or not this stuff is detrimental, but whether or not it can actually be successful, whether it can successfully be hypnotized. So that's kind of reminds me, yeah, it kind of reminds me of the whole, for those in America, we had the forced healthcare recently under the Barack Hussein Obama's regime, which were called benefits, just like Bill Clinton's benefits of forced health insurance again. But yeah, the issue of the right when it came to that wasn't so much whether or not that's going to worsen healthcare system and make it more expensive still and so on and so forth, but rather whether or not their website worked. That was the issue. So in essence, yeah, they're creating an argument where you already lose. Like it's kind of a red herring. And that's what they did in the scene. It was a red herring. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, this stuff's detrimental, they said, hey, does it really work? Who cares if it really works? It's a problem.
So, yeah, that was funny though. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, I love it. Favorite movies again. Good Will Hunting from the 90s. If you haven't
Do
seen
you reckon that's how Muhammad got Aisha to marry him?
How's that?
Or how he persuaded her parents to let her marry him?
How?
Bribe?
Hypnosis.
No.
Oh wow.
Do you remember the source on that? That's like, that would be really cool to share in this one. Speaking of detrimentals, hypnosis.
Yeah.
And and I've got too much information, but whatever. I've even got family members that have been talking about this what seems to be a latest craze or resurfacing of people voluntarily going to get hypnotized as a form of therapy. But they're getting basically brainwashed in the process.
So what's that about? What's that about? What people are actually volunteering to basically being brainwashed?
Yeah, I mean, this has been around for a while. In fact, I had to a state university where they invited one of these clowns. I don't know, what would you call them? These voodoo doctors, basically to try and hypnotize an audience at large. They invited him to an auditorium. It was at the beginning of the academic year, and that's how they kicked off the academic year, by hypnotizing their student body with this clown that they paid to come and do that in public.
We had a magician here in the UK, Darren Brown. Have you heard of him?
No.
He managed to do it to basically most of the people who was watching the TV live at the time and everyone in the audience. He managed to hypnotize them into thinking of a certain number, and then there was something else. It was so strange. It was weird. It didn't work on me, but it did work on quite a lot of people. In fact, there was a lot of complaints from people who were watching it. I was thinking, hang on a minute, you knew what was on there in the description for this live Darren Brown magician hypnosis thing, and then you're moaning after because you got hypnotized. I think like some lady got stuck to her chair for a week and couldn't move. I think because what it was is he was making them feel like they couldn't move. They were basically paralyzed. And this one woman was basically left in her chair for a week. I thought that was brilliant. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, this has been around, again, been around for a while. I think one of the more common things people use this for is to do things like stop smoking. And this is something, again, that's promoted, ad placement in movies and so on. And to that, let me put this quick clip.
Only took 2 puffs of your last one.
That's because I don't really smoke. Yeah. Well, last year I started chewing the gum, because my friend Donna, she was trying to quit smoking, and she found that the gum was soothing to the nerves, so I started chewing it, and then I got hooked on the gum, and then I got TMJ from the chewing, so this is just to get me off the gum. I'm 10 days off the gum.
Sounds like a good plan. Next week you'll be on heroin.
Right. So basically,
brilliant.
Yeah. What's interesting about that clip, I actually posted it online, and within a few hours, it got over 200 hits. And then suddenly, just like that, it plateaued. And not only that, a few hours later, the number actually decreased. I don't know how people unview something, but clearly YouTube up no good. And we'll cover
That's
that.
strange. Yeah, did you see it? Yeah, a lot of being. I had it too. Sam Shamoon was talking about it as well on his live. I think it was yesterday. And 2 other Christian apologists I know basically had videos removed, comments removed, loads of subscribers taken off their channel. So YouTube's been having a field day recently with Christians and people who speak on behalf of Christianity. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah, and we're going to cover that too, how the NSA is taking over the internet officially next week, thanks to the U.S. government. And again, the internet is U.S.-based, U.S.-founded. The only other alternative is the CCP versions or the Russian version, if you have even access to that. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Sorry, I kind of lost track. We're all over the place here, but we've got a lot to cover, and it's all interrelated. I mean, it's really, in essence, it's mind control, and it's control, and in the process, they're weeding out the the Christian culture, the Christian society, the Christian mindset. Oh,
Yeah.
you got, oh, I'm sorry, Rachel, you got kicked off the stage by accident. Apologize.
Well, I had to do it to change.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right. Um, yeah. So I'm sorry, you didn't get a chance to speak. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh,
As far as the the whole, well, let's get into it. I mean, if you will, like again, I have family members that are signing up for this kind of thing. Apparently, they're pushing again in their ad placement.
hypnosis.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and then just like the video suggests, they're basically going into a process that brainwashes them without their control or even knowledge, hypnosis.
I
So
have
they,
been hypnotized before.
oh wow. And this is this is a bad coping strategy to overcome bad coping strategies, which makes us it's kind of like a clip. Would you like to share with us, if you don't mind,
Um,
your
I
experience?
afterward repented, but I had a really nice counselor. I've had some good ones, some who seemed really kind and sympathetic, and I agreed to have her put me under. The thing is, I thought it would be like anesthesia or whatever, and I'd fall asleep and not remember anything. But I remained in control. It just felt odd. It was almost like lucid dreaming or something, or a really intense daydream.
Hmm. So
But
it's like, yeah, lucid dreaming. All right. Could you explain to the audience, for those that might not be familiar with lucid dreaming is, exactly what that is?
oh, it's like a really intense dream, daydream. Where all of us can have daydreams, or at least most of us, where we can see things, make images come up in our minds by just willing. That's part of daydreaming. Or memories. You make images and events pop up in your mind as you remember them.
Okay.
Yeah, you could basically pick your own dream, and it feels more real than life. It's like really realistic, not like a normal nightmare where you got obscene things that won't make sense in the real world. It's just like lucid dreaming's a bit more real, and you can basically be in control of it as well. You can determine what's going on with the dream.
In this hypnotic state, it was like I was in it was in a dark, immaterial world, talking one voice to another. It's hard to explain, like a disembodied state. I can see now that it wasn't really good, and I believe I may have contacted something evil through it, but I
Well,
repented, so it doesn't have a hold on me if I did.
you just triggered a memory. It's something that I haven't really talked about, but yeah, it's quite interesting. And as much as I hate the movie industry, they actually even alluded to this too. There's a lot of good little um, advice in these movies, whether it's revelation of the method or for whatever reason they do it. But in the movie, ironically, I have a part of the character from the movie Poltergeist. I think it was from the 70s or 80s originally.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and in there they were talking about basically that how there's a scene where you have this medium, she's a midget, she sounds really weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I was a little girl and I was afraid of the movie when it was on TV.
right.
But I saw that one part of the medium.
Yeah, and she was freaky. She's supposed to be a hero, but she was one of the creepiest things of the movie.
I
But
don't know. I thought she was interesting as a kid, but I was a weird kid. All the same, I thought the movie itself was scary. And she was supposed to help them fight the powers of darkness. They didn't get a preacher or a priest or a spiritual person, a spiritual leader in to help them, or even a rabbi or an imam.
right, exactly.
They got this medium in to help them.
Right, basically like a shaman. They might as well. And I think they did that too. But yeah, exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. Hollywood does do that. You have to fight evil with evil, which is horrendous. But so basically, actually, she gave good advice to the father. Again, emasculation. The pathetic father. And she says basically how being a drunkard opens the door to the spiritual realm.
It
Makes you
does.
susceptible. Yeah.
Spirits.
That's what, yeah, we call it spirits. Good call. Very good point.
Booze and mind-altering drugs. Psychiatric drugs, and this is what makes me angry. Well-meaning Christians believe that these help their brain. They are told this by doctors who are often themselves well-meaning. They say you have a chemical imbalance in your brain and you need these drugs to restore them. They don't know the truth that the drugs work on the same premise as the kind you buy on the street. But these companies have patents on them and make more money than they would selling them on the street, so they get doctors to distribute them for them.
And you know, I kind of triggered a memory. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Chris Paul, were you to say something?
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, well, with certain things, I totally believe that, yeah, that with the healthcare departments, they do make extremely lot of money off sick people, and that itself is sick. However, with some, like for myself, with my experience, I had major anxiety attacks when I was younger, and I was put on what they call SSRIs, I've been on them since, and I can tell without being on them, I'm absolutely unstable. So I do recognize that some things do work for this, like with diabetes. You know, if a diabetic would die if he didn't have insulin. So some things they do work, but I do understand that obviously as well. At the same time, doctors are prescribing people medications that they don't actually need, and they're making it. It's all for the sake of money. If everyone was all well and were living into their hundreds and tens, then the doctors wouldn't have a reason to be around or have a job. So of course they're gonna, you know, it's just like any other field. You know, you need problems and able to have like a job to fix them.
For anybody, Christian, for anybody who's listening, I would advise you or anybody who might be taking SSRIs or who's been taking them for more than a month or so to just suddenly go off them. If you can get a doctor to help you go off them, because people go off them way too fast.
Yeah.
But you say you've taken them for many years. If you just suddenly cold turkeyed off of them, the shock that your body will go into might kill you.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. There's a certain syndrome as well that you can get. I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, it could be definitely be dangerous. I know that if I miss a dose on one day, and it's like this stuff doesn't like buzz you up or anything like that. It just literally makes you like, I don't know, balanced. So you can think properly and you're not panicking all the time. So yeah, I mean, there are drugs out there that are designed to sedate you and stuff like that, but no, the ones that I'm not on are not like that. So yeah, kind of lucky, but not. I noticed. I just wanted to reply quickly to Breakfast Guns comment that he put earlier, that he can't so if he comments on a Muslim's comment, then it gets deleted. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's been happening to my account, Sam Shamoon's, God Logics, and some other apologists as well. So yeah, it's very strange. Like, we're not allowed. We're being filtered by absolutely everything now. It's strange.
Yep. Well, when you use this platform, that's the choice we take. We make it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. It's not really a choice when one group of people is treated from everyone else.
Yeah,
so I'm saying then the choice is removed, and that's the same thing with the lockdown. A lot of people used this argument when you confronted them about the backward, detrimental dictates in the first year of the lockdown. They kept saying, "Well, it's your choice," but actually, that was exactly the exact opposite of reality. Choice was completely moved out. And that was the whole point.
Well, in the ancient Roman Empire, you could say that Christians who wouldn't worship Nero or Caligula as gods it was their choice to be burned or sawn apart or fed to wild beasts or crucified.
Okay,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's exactly those same people that are saying those things are actually pagans. They are modern pagans. They show solidarity with Islam, with Hinduism, with Buddhism, with even Satanism, everything under the sun except Christianity.
Yeah,
right?
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, I want to, because these are, again, the internet thing is interrelated with what I call this collective psyche. I know some people get annoyed when I do that, but I do see it at these days as a collective psyche. Very much, I should have included a clip of this, of the movie Wall-E, where basically people are completely, they're basically turned into parasites that just sit there and consume.
Yeah.
And and whatever the internet, the media, which everyone's watching the exact same thing, kind of like going of something viral, so to speak. Whatever it says, that's what it is. And so, there's a commercial all of a sudden that comes on in this modern utopia, let's call it.
Yeah.
And everybody's wearing the same outfit. And the commercial says, I think it was, red is the new blue. And everyone's blue suits all of a sudden turns red with a push of a button.
Oh, yeah, kind of like they did to the states. Notice how the Republican states used to be colored blue, then all of a sudden they switched us to red.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that speaks to the whole left-right dichotomy and how real that is, by the way.
Yeah, I've been accused of having Trump derangement syndrome, but part of the reason I no longer support him is because I've been doing some thinking and researching the man. And it's like he is as phony as a $3 bill. He tries to pass himself as this evangelical Christian godly guy who loves family and church and Jesus and all this. He's no different than Bill Clinton.
I was gonna say, just like Biden is a Catholic, I mean, come on. You'll know them by their fruits.
Yeah. But I saw him hold up a Bible. Or I know he loves America because I saw a picture of him kissing a flag.
Yeah. And Barack Hussein Obama was Christian too. I mean, come on, man. He wasn't Muslim. All right, sure. I mean, he had two Muslim fathers, but he's not Muslim? Come on.
Yeah, that's strange.
Should I share a clip about it's this one's an extended clip, but it has to do with ad placement of mass media pushing these things on people and making it, they say normalizing it, but making it look hip and cool.
I got a pretty cool opportunity following that to do a little self-reflection in some isolation, and then
it says the mic is muted for the video. Can you guys hear the video?
Yeah, no, it's just so that we can't speak over it. That's all.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right, thank you.
Mic, not audio.
Oh, no wonder. I was trying to speak over the last one. I guess you guys can hear what I was saying. I didn't know that. You see, this is why I don't like StreamYard. It's so limited. But anyways, maybe blessed. So in that case, since we won't, because it's an 8-minute video, and I don't have any controls as far as pausing it and so on, unfortunately. So let me just say a couple of things about it, so you guys can kind of look out for it. Basically, this is Aaron Rodgers. He's a star quarterback in the NFL, arguably the best one in history, some believe. And so he's got definitely a voice. But about a decade ago, he was interviewed by the 500 Club, and he basically quoted St. Francis of Assisi, the first time I ever heard of St. Francis of Assisi, and saying that speak the gospel always, use words if you have to, something to that effect. And so ever since then, I became a fan of him. And just so happened after that interview, he started having all the success. And then right after success and saying that, all of a sudden, media just hated this guy. I just kept beating up on him. So next thing you know, a few years later, 5+ years later, he starts promoting this existential, liberal, what is God? God's an alien. What is reality? Kind of books. I'm like, okay. And now we're going to see what he's been pushing lately. He's actually anti-vax, but he's pro-crypto. and we'll touch on what the crypto thing is, what's going on with that. And by the way, before I forget, what's the name of the guy? Andrew Torba of Gab.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pushing crypto, right?
Yeah. I don't think everyone who's pushing crypto is deep, you know what, but
yeah, no, but it's interesting that he went before Congress and all of a sudden his site's changing and he's doing these weird things, pushing AI.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, I got some pretty cool opportunity following that to do a little self-reflection in some isolation. And then after that, I feel like I'll be a lot closer to a final decision.
All right, well, good luck with that whole process. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Good luck with that whole process. We're proud of you, too. It's not bad to have that little glass trophy whenever you decide to go into isolation, have that thing sitting next to you, knowing that the future probably pretty bright if I'm going to go hit the golf celebrity tour unit.
Place in the basement, but
silky smooth.
Okay, so let's talk about that this offseason, because obviously a couple off seasons ago, you decided to drink that tea.
Yep, that's right.
In the middle of a jungle called ayahuasca. And when you drank said tea, you know, you had an experience that changed you. What did it do? Oh, I don't know. You went on to win back-to-back MVPs. I think you re-examined how you view everything in life, and you've become, I think, a much deeper person than ever before. This offseason, is there any of those types of things already set up, or are those kind of just like a feel, set-up-and-go situation that just kind of pop up out of nowhere?
Well, those need to be planned. Those are big trips.
I get it. Yeah.
Because of the profound impact it had on me, it's always something that I kind of listen to that intuition on when the right time is. I don't think I'm not ever going to recommend it for anybody. It has to be time and setting that works with you, and obviously the pull to do it. But it's definitely something that when I feel like doing it, then I'll set up a trip. There is some things in the works.
No ayahuasca this offseason. All right. Hey, that's big news.
Yeah.
That's big news. Put on a ticker. I don't know if we have a ticker.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a ticker. But I think, ceremonies around plant medicine will be a part of my life for a while moving forward. It just depends on the timing, the place, the setting, and what medicine is right at that time.
All right, so we're going to travel a little bit. We're going to figure out life. We're going into isolation here in a little bit.
Part of contemplation about my future, so I'm
Is that real? Are we really contemplating playing football again still? Is that like a heavy thought? Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that. I just assumed because the way you've given answers, it's like foregone conclusion. But you have told us numerous times you haven't got through that portion of your decision-making yet. So that seems surprising me right there. That's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing, 100%. And that's why I think it's going to be important to get through this week, and then to take my my isolation retreat, and just to be able to contemplate all things my future, and then make a decision that I feel like is best for me moving forward, and in the highest interest of my happiness, and then move forward.
What's isolation retreat? We're just going into a cave?
Are you not going to talk? You're not going to speak? One of those things?
Yeah, is it just you in there? And if you're just in there alone, do you know how many days you're in there? Are you taking an iPad, a book? Are we able to reach you?
What?
Is there good?
It's 4 nights of complete darkness.
What? You go to Alaska?
Not Alaska, no. I've been to Alaska. That's a beautiful state. Man. That's a lot
Are
of
you
fun.
locked in?
Where is it?
You're not locked in. No, you can leave if you can't do it. You can just walk out the door. But it's a darkness retreat.
Wow.
And I've had a number of friends who've done it and had some profound experiences, and it's something that's been on my radar for a few years now, and I felt like it'd be awesome to do regardless of where I was leaning after this season. So it's been on the calendar for months and months and months, and it's coming up in a couple weeks.
So you walk into a room for 4 days, or is it a cave?
It's a room. It's a little house, yeah.
And they just kind of black out the window. Everything's dropped down, and then there's somebody like in there administering like sounds and what we're going through options. Of
There's a two-way
mirror.
No, like a little slot that they'll drop in some food for you, but it's isolation and darkness. No, no music, no nothing.
Are they recording you and your actions?
How many people are in there?
Just myself. Isolation.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it'd be weird if you had some random stranger in a corner you couldn't see.
I thought it was a group. I thought it was like a group.
Or trying to battle for the toilet in the darkness with somebody.
So they're the one. So
is there a bathroom, or you wearing a diaper?
I think you can wear adult diapers if you want, but there's actually a bathroom. Yeah.
Okay.
And does that have like a nightlight or?
No light. 4 days.
Do you wear clothes? What
are
do
you
do?
scared to death?
That's terrifying.
You're going to the hole for 4 days. It sounds like, and I assume you're paying for this.
No way I can do that. You come out in the morning and then you go in it back every night.
You're in there for 4 nights, and then you come out on the last day after the fourth night.
Wait,
all
there's
day
no
and
check in, check out. You're in all day.
You're in all day, all night.
Pitch black all day.
Huh.
Sensory deprivation, isolation.
Are you in a float tank too? Is there a float tank in there you're spending time in?
That's real. That's a good question.
There's no float tank. That'd be pretty cool.
So it's just a couch, like a random couch. Is like, oh, I'm gonna go on Lazy Boy there. That's gonna be a difference between today and yesterday.
I'm not sure about that part. But,
what are you bringing with you?
Well, it's not like you bring a journal or you bring music or anything. There's no sounds. No, it's just sitting in isolation, meditation, sitting with your thoughts. Nice. It stimulates DMT, so there can be some hallucinations in there, but it's just kind of sitting in silence, which most of us never do. We rarely even turn our phone off or put the blinds down to sleep in darkness. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I assume you're going to find answers to a lot of things when it's just your thoughts for 4 straight days with no light, sound, or human contact. That's certainly. I'm scared you're not scared. I thought of me being put in one of these situations and me not being able to make it. Like, there's a lot of me right now. Okay, me talking to me. Need to move on. Have you thought about that at all? Or has there been any bad trips? I assume people have not been able to handle this. I would assume.
I don't know. I haven't heard. Nobody I've talked to who've done it has had a bad trip. They've all had really magical experiences.
That's amazing.
And meaningful kind of breakthroughs. But the door is open, so if you want to leave, you walk out the door.
Hey, good luck in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, I can't wait to hear what you learn about yourself, from yourself, with yourself. 4 days.
We might have to do it. Might have to come on for a guest appearance after that.
I think so. I mean, maybe get some light and stuff,
right. Yeah, I will.
Just gonna be bopping all over that room.
Hell yeah. Well,
yeah.
How else you gonna pass the time?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be Freddie Bop the whole time, probably.
A lot of Jergens.
You're coming in. What are you doing? 4 days, dude? What did you bring with you? Oh, lotion. That's just lotion.
Big old thing of baby lotion.
Hey, good luck in there. We apologize for not being as sophisticated enough. Darius J. Butler's here, has a question for you. Certainly that's a white person thing. I'm not 100% sure if any of us have ever heard of it before.
Nah, shit. I want to know where to sign up. I might try that thing.
Really? Is that something you would want to do?
4 days.
I try for sure. I doubt I'll be able to make 4 days.
1 day.
I think I could make a day. So, yeah, first of all, Aaron, where do I find that? And second of all, I had a football question. These 2 offenses, betting favorites, MVP, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Which way are you leaning in this game as far as these offenses go?
Well, first of all, we can sidebar offline, D-Bud, about that other stuff. But
yeah, about 4 days with no lights.
Yeah, I go 2. I give 2 max.
It's going to be.
All right. That was. Yeah, that was a lot to unpack. I was hoping to be able to pause and stuff in the middle of it, but all right, we'll have to work that out in a future stream and how to better manage that. At any rate, what thoughts do you have? Did you notice how much they're promoting it, how they were being repetitive? I mean, this was an edited video, but throughout the conversation of different things, they kept plugging this idea of visiting it and using all these superstars to do that. Like, oh, this is cool. I got to check this out. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit strange. I'll let you go on that one, Rachel.
Yes, it sounded like a soft sell. They frequently do that with experts on television who say you need to get your kids diagnosed with ADHD, the sooner the better, as we have medicine that can treat it, or it, things like that, or take this drug to make you lose weight. Something I noticed after lockdown, there'd been a lot of body positivity messaging, telling people you're okay the way you are, as though they wanted us to gain a bunch of weight during lockdown.
Which is healthy for you, of course, right?
And then as soon as it come out, doctors say, oh, guess what? Pfizer and Eli Lilly and all these other Johnson & Johnson, all these other places have all these new shots you can take to help make you lose weight without trying.
Semaglutide. There's that one. Ozempic. There's another one.
All these others. Yeah.
But you know what you were saying in regards to that ADHD thing? We've got a problem with it. We call the UK the nanny state, because they'll look after you with everything, healthcare, especially if you're an immigrant. You come over, you get given a card on the first day you're here, which gets topped up with cash every week. You get given clothes, like good branded clothes, get put up in a 4 or 5 star hotel, free square meals. You get seen by a dentist and a doctor the first day. We haven't got access to that yet. We've got veterans sleeping in tents because the council are refusing to house them. But with the ADHD thing, what you notice is a lot of like it's mainly the single mums, believe it or not. That they're using their kids as a way, as like a financial like turnover. So they're taking their kids that are naughty because they haven't got a dad around to be that authoritative figure.
So they act out.
Yeah. So they go to the doctor. Oh, my kids are playing up. I don't know what to do with them. What should I do? And the doctor gives them a diagnosis of ADHD. And next thing you know, there's a claim in for PIP, which is what you call personal independence payment. That is around. It can be anything up to £1,300 a month, which is about $1,500. And then she'll get, on top of the money she's already receiving from the state, an extra £300 to £400 herself, which is another $500 in your money. So in total, because there's 66 million people living in the UK. That's funny, nearly 666, and I think we're spending on total £89 billion a year just on benefits, and not just on like benefits or like welfare. It's that this is just for disability benefits. This is disability welfare. That's how much it's costing. So that's probably $100 billion for just the disabled people in a country where there's 66 million people. It is barbaric.
I can see how women who are already prone to Munchausen's by proxy would really have an incentive to do that, to get their kids sick, crippled.
Well, they're cash machines now. They're cash cows, unfortunately. And because over here now, if you have a child, most people will have on their Facebook. I see it in the States. Most single mums, they put on their retired mummy. But over in the UK, where I live, they put full-time mum as their job. How is it a job being a full-time mother? It's it's a natural thing. There are lovely independent women here too that work a full-time job, and they are mothers too. But how is being a full-time mother a job or an employment status?
Well, stay-at-home moms, like they have husbands who pay for them to stay home with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine. Stay-at-home mum, that's great. But when you've got you put as your job title, I'm a full-time mother. That's not your job. It's not a job to be a full-time mum. It's what you owe your children. It's just right.
Yeah. Forgive me, man. I'm not in any way. I think anyone who's watching in my streams knows I'm not in any way a feminist, but I'm going to have to agree with Una on this one, who disagrees with Una on this one.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I just don't think it's a job. I think if if at the end of the day, if you're a stay-at-home mum, that is absolutely fine. My partner is, and that's mostly due to my son being partly disabled. However, like, how is it a job? Like on Facebook, if you write stay-at-home mum, not I am a full-time mother or retired mum. It's like I seen on YouTube. There's a load of shorts. There's one girl who she creates content. She's got loads of, like, tens of thousands of subscribers, and all her shorts do say this is what a day looks like for a retired mum. And she can cram all that in within 30 seconds. And I'm thinking, yeah, well done. Do you know what? There's women that do that and have jobs. They're the women that need to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And looked up to. I'm sorry, but they do.
Yeah, that part about, let's say the traditional woman, if you want to call it that. I hate that's even a thing, but yeah, I absolutely agree that they definitely need to be celebrated, and they are in the traditional, again, Christian church, which is also very. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. No, I was just saying, like, in the traditional Christian church, they are celebrated from the very beginning.
They used to be called housewives. Basically, anyone that married.
That's right, and that's when a man actually had a wage that was decent enough to look after the family. But when you're at home deliberately not working so that you can claim money off the state, as of going to work when you can take your children to school, that the state is more than happy to pay for up to 30 hours of childcare per week. If they're happy to pay for nursery or childcare, you can go to work. I'm sorry, but you can. To me, there's no excuse. If you're a single mum and the state have offered to pay for 30 hours or 35 hours childcare, you should be going to work. That's it.
Ooh, you've got the chat going. I'll say that much.
Well, why you can't expect the taxpayer to pay for you to sit on your backside to have children, and just literally milk the state. I mean, otherwise you're going to drive your own nation down into poverty.
Right.
Well, why not slap paternity suits on the men who made the babies?
They do. I mean, that's also part of the problem. I mean, the essence the system is set up to destroy the family home.
Yeah.
And that's where all this chaos that we're seeing today, we're reaping the what was sown by not us, but by them in their system right now in the 21st century. You got all these villains that are conditioned, and they're conditioned because they were feral children, basically. They had no parenting. All they had was mass media to raise them. And mass media told them to go out and set dumpsters on fire and break into, buildings, because that's supposed to be equality, and, castrate your children and cut off, and so on and so forth. All this psychosis that's pure evil that we're seeing today was made possible by two things. First and foremost, by our silence, and shame on us for that.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, because of mass media in the broken home, it made children, bastardized children. Forgive me for using that word, but we need to be using that word more frequently. It's a problem. We need to get away from that. We need to do a lot, but I think the biggest thing there is to go back to our Christian roots, and
definitely.
Again, venerating the woman. We shouldn't have to say traditional housewife and all that. A woman, and a woman should mean what a woman actually means, not someone who throws on lipstick and carries her latest iPhone and shows that she's can't be spoken to, does her own thing, egocentric, self-serving, and then complains about everything and blames everyone else for these alleged problems that they have. That's not a woman. A woman. Forgive me. I'm on a roll here. Forgive me. Then you can correct me. A woman is. Sorry, go ahead. A woman is someone who sacrifices herself for her family. That's not only for her children, but for her husband. Likewise, Now let's do the other thing. Likewise, the same thing is true for men. A man is not someone who goes around and sleeps around with women and treats them like dirt, and is self-serving. Likewise, and wants to show off his latest sports car, whatever it might be, and treats everyone like dirt and thinks he's getting away with it. That's not a man. No, that's
brings up the children as the same way he got brought up.
Right.
And this is what I mean. You need to keep traditions. And there's a massive gap between two generations. So we go back to my grandparents, probably your grandparents. They were probably all, maybe not so much God-fearing, but let's just say they were at least Christian. And they attended church. Or at least, you were going to school. Even when I was at school, we had hymns in the assembly. We had prayer before lunch, stuff like that. We had nativity plays at Christmas, Christingles, stuff like that. And we got educated on what Christianity was. We don't have that now. It's all gone. I'm sorry, but when a nation turns its back on God, God turns his back on them.
Well,
and this is why we've got all the problems we have now.
Yeah. There's another expression that's slipped into our psyche, subconscious, collectively worldwide, and it's completely backward, just like everything else they pushed us. And that's God forsaken. It's actually God forsaking, ing. It's us that are forsaking God, not the other way around. And that's what we're suffering from today.
And I know, obviously, with what I was saying earlier, what I'm saying is I'm not saying that women don't have enough to do with looking after children, because believe me, I know that women have hard work looking after children. But what I was my point being was, if, where I live in the UK, you've got what we call the nanny state that is willing to pay for childcare. You already are a single woman. You've decided that the bloke that you want to be with is not good enough, or whatever. Something's happened for you to be in the situation you're in. And some women don't even like to accept the fact that they shouldn't have had sexual relations or anything like that with that man in the first place. Because, some girls nowadays are just too quick to pull it about, and the next thing you know, I'm sorry, but they're pregnant. And yes, men are a part to play. They have their role to play in on that too. That is 50-50. It takes two to tango. But the problem is after that, if you're going to stay at home, so you got your situation now. The state are saying, right, look, we'll look after you by making sure we pay for the childcare so that you can go to work. And they're deciding not to. They're going, do you know what? I'm just going to sit at home and I'm going to claim the welfare. And not only am I going to do that, I'm going to take my child to the doctors, say that he's misbehaving, say that he's not looking at people in the eyes, and say that he's struggling at school, and give all the excuses of why there's not discipline or authority in the home. And there are some women that can be kind of a mother and father role model at the same time, but it's very rare. It's very rare.
Forgive me for cutting in, but we've really sidetracked the stream. We spent about 50 minutes on gender roles, so we could do a stream about that another time, and I would love to do that. And Rachel, if you want to
definitely,
you're definitely more than welcome on that too, or anyone else in stream. By the way, I mean, I think we all have plenty to say about this topic. And especially what's going on with these days with the whole Baphomet worship, and how everyone's been not only transformed mentally and spiritually, by the way, through our brains, and that's what we're covering today, but also physically. It's an actual manifestation, and then of course in behaviors that follows. And to that end, let me go ahead and bring us back to that topic of voluntary brainwashing, hypnosis, how people are running to literally be brainwashed through hypnosis, having no control over what's going on with them, like voluntarily becoming Manchurian candidates. If you're not familiar with that, I encourage you to look that one up. And that actually is not only a movie, it's actually a real thing. These are now undisclosed government documents. And we'll cover all these other things too. Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra, and so on. And even the current next week, the NSA again is taking over the internet officially. So major changes are taking place while all these red herrings are being put into play, and nothing is being addressed because we're just way too distracted. Not only with all this didactic nonsense, left, right, black, white, gender, blah blah blah, but with all the insanity they're doing, including now,
the war in the Middle East.
Yeah, initiating World War III. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. So here just quickly, and anyone can do their own search, but it's crazy how about a decade ago there was research that showed that the average person had spent about, I think it was around 10 hours per day with some type of internet access, whether it was their cell phone, their computer, or at work. So, these days, clearly with everyone in their cell phones and the kind of access and the kind of investment we have in our cell phones and the internet through our cell phones, that number is greater. But you also see and hear, it went from 93% of adults in the United States are now using the internet to, of course, much, like almost 50% 2 decades ago. And that became very popular, the cell phone, in 2005 through Motorola. And Motorola, by the way, anyone who's not familiar with Sigma 6, their goal for corporations when they became a consultation firm, you should look into it. Sigma 6. Their standard for maximum efficiency was 96.66%. How do you come up with that number? I mean, they really rub your noses in their ball worship.
Oh.
So yeah, I know I'm all over the place, but there's just, the topic goes on and on. Let me give you another example. Speaking of the traditional church, a Greek Orthodox church, it's a bunch of old people, they say, right? So, okay, that's not completely true, but regardless, there's young people in there, so on and so forth. If you go to one of those parishes and you hear the phone ring, the cell phone during the service, you would imagine that it's a young person, just being completely negligent. But no, it's the yayadas, they say. It's the grandmas. The grandmas with a cell phone in a purse in the middle of a Sunday morning liturgy, having their phones on, and they're taking out their phones and they're going, "Yeah, what do you want? I'm in a service. What can I mean, what's going on, people? 90 years old with their cell phones in a Sunday service."
You know how I think that happened, Nick? Why that's so frequent with the elderly?
Why is that?
Because they were the ones who were most frightened, and I guess you could say they were the most threatened by the so-called flu. I don't know what I can say without getting censored.
The Chinese flu.
Yeah, that has scared people. They watched their television. They didn't dig out corners of the internet like I did, or like some younger people did. They just basically believed everything they saw on television. They stayed home. They wore masks and used their phones and screens to keep in touch with loved ones. And they went on Facebook all the time instead of meeting people. And to this day, I noticed a lot of boomers, even in my rural small town, conservative boomers, are on phones, even though they're no longer masking and distancing, because they just got in the habit after a year or a year and a half of being scared. And even some of them were yelled at by their children. "Mom and Dad, stay home. If you breathe, you'll die."
Yeah. We're definitely, even though the NSA is officially taking over the internet, I believe it's Wednesday. We definitely still need to do a stream on that, because all the stuff came out in public hearings around the world, particularly in the U.S. and in Europe. Europe got all this criticism for its lockdown behavior, but where was this praise for its citizens revolting the entire time for the lockdown dictates and the vaxes and so on and so forth? Not to mention its government intervention in its public hearings. And that's part of the Euro bashing. I don't want to get off on another tangent, but that's important too. The Euro
it's too easy, isn't it? There's so many topics nowadays.
Yeah, it's all interrelated. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But,
so the NSA, what's been going on with that?
Okay, so let me go ahead and share. I had a video, unfortunately. I
This is all
cannot.
new to me. Like because I've never heard of the NSA or who they are or what.
Oh, wow. No kidding. The clip that we saw at the beginning of the movie actually has a scene about the NSA, and it's one of my favorite things. So it talks about just how corrupt that organization is. Um,
Mm.
okay, so I apologize. But basically, it's the National Security Agency, and it started in the 50s. And we'll take a couple look at a couple documents behind the NSA and who they are. But let me see. Can you guys? Hold on. Yeah. So basically, it was a wartime thing, and ironically, I almost joined the Navy myself. But
Same here. That's strange.
yeah, they put me through something I've talked about often. Nobody else who joined the military is aware of this, but my recruiter asked me to do an oath before I even sounded a
Yeah.
dotted line. You too?
I had to for the territorial army when I was 17.
You had to do an oath, okay. So yeah, in the U.S. military, nobody else had to do an oath before they sounded a dotted line. That anyone, at least everyone that I've asked. So I kind of wonder if they had plans for me because he told me that he wanted me to be not a cryptologist, but to be a translator for Greek. So who knows?
Not like the Greeks are a threat to America, but
Well, yeah, they're in the center of all the chaos, unfortunately. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, I had a video queued up with this disclosure about the NSA officially taking over, and of course now I can't access that video. So, but thankfully I took a screenshot of a moment. And I know this guy's not popular, but this comes from InfoWars. If you don't believe it, just go ahead and do your own research on it and see what you come up with. But so yeah, so basically it says, quote, electronic communication surveillance provider is being taken over. An amendment offered by the House Intel Committee and passed vastly. All right, so it expands their ability, their control. So the NSA, like I was saying, was actually created, and it was called something different initially, but it was created to basically post World War II do cryptology to decipher messages, secret messages, and all that. This is the spy game.
Okay. So yeah, we got GCHQ, which right near my home actually. Yeah, I get what it is.
No kidding. So yeah, but interesting enough, that transformed. That became something else. So here's a document you can see for yourself with regards to its history, and I can share this link actually in the chat and even in the description afterwards, so you guys can take a look at it yourself. But this is an early history of. Sorry, so many clicks. I'm getting confused there. There we go. Finally. Yeah, so this is a document. Again, I'll share the link. I'll shrink in a second, share in the chat, but I'll also include it in the description. It gives you a thorough description of how the NSA started with a cryptology kind of thing, and then the CIA kind of controlled it, so to speak. It was also the State Department and the War Department, and they created their own secret council and all these things. And for the longest time, it was only for that kind of thing, for espionage and deciphering codes. But interestingly enough, in the 90s, when Clinton took over and he basically picked the United States apart, he put it up for the chopping block, literally, like for the international world to have access to buy it out. And NAFTA was a big discussion there, but it wasn't only that. And Whitewater somehow disappeared over Office BJ. Another red herring, by the way, for those that are old enough to remember that. The Clintons got away with murder, literally, and then some, over another yet red herring mass media straw man nonsense. But so yeah, in the 90s, basically, public education was completely restructured. Government spending was completely restructured. Military bases in the U.S. and throughout the world were completely disbanded. Well, not completely, but obliterated, major cuts. So, and then in addition to that, tariffs were changed where it was easier to import things and not so much export things. And also the stock market was open for international trading with much less regulation. All these things under the left, which happen to also support communism. What do you know? Yeah, and so while that was happening, then the NSA also got into crypto. Can anyone guess crypto what? What crypto is being pushed by Aaron Rodgers? I just mentioned earlier.
Bitcoin?
It's also Bitcoin, cryptocurrency.
Did you hear what Dan Pena said about all that? He said, well, is it Dan Pena or Pena or Pena? He's an American like entrepreneur, and I seen like a video of him. Like he's a really tough old school guy. Like he works hard, and yeah, he basically went on a rant about cryptocurrency and he's telling everyone who wants to make money and stuff, whatever you do not put any money in. He goes, I'm telling you now, he goes, because when you do, and he goes, and you will, he said, when you do find out who actually set it up and who's behind it all, he goes, that day that happens is the day that it's going to go down like completely, and that people will lose so much money. It's unfathomable. And he was really, really going on about it, very deep about it. He was swearing, and also it's on YouTube. Dan Pena, Pena. And yeah, he doesn't like it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? If you watch media, they're always pushing the crypto billionaire. You know, they're always highlighting one who happens to be Oriental or Arab or Muslim, likely. I don't know what their religion is, but likely. So, and they're always pushing. Look, you can be filthy rich and be like these people, but yet so many people have lost everything on cryptocurrency, including some famous people. Came up public. Yeah, and so just to do a little timeline of things that followed these things. Around the turn of the century, if you guys remember, we had the Y2K scare, right? The Y2K scare did a couple of things. One, it cemented the use of computers in our lives, and in our minds, in our deep psyche. Well, people became all of a sudden doom preppers, like, oh my God, it's going to be the end of the world because the computers are going to crash, and so they got that paranoid mentality. But also,
yeah, the preppers. There's a few preppers on YouTube, isn't there?
Yeah, but
like
they
that
also
NY prepper.
NY, right? All kinds.
I'm a prepper. You're a prepper. Wouldn't you like to be a prepper too?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's all for himself, of course. It's all me versus them in that prepping, even, which is disturbing. But here's the other thing it did. Deep in our subconscious, it made it seem like our livelihoods depend on computers, which definitely wasn't true back then. Now that culture was made to shift not only by coercion, like again for about a decade now, every job application included a cell phone instead of a phone number. They specifically said cell phone. They were forcing you to have a cell phone. Yeah. But even during the recent lockdown, we were all in isolation and were made to basically go change our lifestyles and go online. Yeah, and literally you had to have a Vax Pass, which was again on your cell phone. So they literally forced us by law and by penalty to make this transition.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
I remember thinking, why do we need smartphones? We already have computers for going online. I don't know, it's like they wanted to have us glued to screens all the time.
Right. Well, that's exactly my point, and that's exactly what the goal is. I would argue is again this in essence transhumanism. I mean, do they really have to, at this point, do they really have to jam anything into our brains? Aren't we already kind of, 24/7 integrated with the internet through cell phones, computer, our daily lives at work, like it or not? And therefore, their messaging, their imaging, and all that is kind of driving our thoughts, and through our thoughts, our behaviors.
Christian, wasn't there like a series in your country about this girl who decides she wants to get all these implants? I can't remember the name. There's a British series about this young woman who comes out to her parents and says, "I'm trans." They say trans. They think she wants to be a boy. No, it turns out she wants to have all these prosthetics put into her body to modify her into a cyborg.
Oh, yeah, that's just normal here now. We actually pay for it as well.
Wow.
We have a free healthcare system. There's actually it's called the NHS, National Healthcare System, and basically they've caused so much damage to some of these children already that there's lawsuits already in place against the NHS, because you can sue them for negligence. And there's teachers that are not telling parents that their children are trans or want to be trans, and they're referring them onto these services where you get asked about 3 questions, and within about half hour of being interviewed, you've already been prescribed these hormone replacement therapies, HRTs, and they basically get you on the path ready for surgery. And you can get trans surgery very quick here, yet there's people waiting on the list for chemotherapy, radiotherapy, heart transplants, stents, bypasses, you name it, and they can't get it. They're waiting for years. So yeah, to be honest, you've probably heard of one, but it's the norm over here right now.
What about cyborgs? This show is about a girl who she wants to be a cyborg.
A cyborg?
Yeah, with these devices put into her body.
Do you know the name of the girl? Or
the show? I wish I could. I know it. They have British accents. It's going on over there.
Oh, I just hope it's not near me. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's like a drama, I think.
Okay, is it on that? Yeah, if you could try. I mean, I'm using my phone currently to stream, so I can't look it up at the same time. But if you can try and find out whilst we're on the stream the name of it, I'll definitely have a look at it.
Okay, I think I could maybe find it. I can't even remember the name of the show, but I remember the reviewer who talked about it. It looked kind of creepy. And I don't think having a bunch of these electronic devices embedded in your body is that good for you either.
Yeah, no, it's definitely strange. I'm trying to find it. I can't find anything on it.
I gotta say, this thing is hilarious. What Una's putting. She goes, "I'm a trans social class. I identify as a billionaire. My bank will not validate my preferred financial status. I intend to sue."
Yeah, I know my pronouns on Discord are King, Lord, and God, but no one's referred to me that yet. So
yeah,
I'm still waiting.
Give it time. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. So let me just go back. Maybe for those that might have watched people like Jay Dyer and so on. Infowars and that crowd. You might have heard of something called Project Mockingbird, or Operation Mockingbird, or MK Ultra.
Yeah. I actually learned about it through a site that I follow that is critical of psychiatry. It was Bruce Levine. He is like a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, but he has criticized what we call mental health.
So, yeah, I mean, basically, this is a bunch of gobbledygook. I will also post this in the chat, or actually um, in the description box. Yeah, because I need to shrink it probably. Yeah. So you guys can look into it for yourselves. But there are other writings on it. Against a lot of other people covered this. This is a factual, declassified information from the government. So this is not conspiracy theory, as I say. In other words, it's not a fiction. It's actually a reality. And what Project Mockingbird is basically it's the weaponization of media against people. And you might say, okay, well, they've done it in war times when they've dropped pamphlets. They still do that to this stage. They'll drop pamphlets in third world countries to kind of condition people, make them believe a certain thing, or try to manipulate the media through espionage. But this is not a wartime thing with enemy nations. This is actually conditioning of the masses of the U.S. citizens.
Wow. They're at war with their own people. That's
Right.
what's so weird and scary. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I started to realize it in 2020 to 2021 when I hear about Russia going against Ukraine, Hamas going against Israel, China going against Taiwan. I realized it's not really what it looks like. Basically, Putin and Zelensky have nothing against each other. They want their people to cull themselves. Same in Israel.
Yeah, and again, this is facts. Let me go show you guys, in fact, a book that will be easy. I'll share that link in the chat as well. But this is a book that's not in jargon, that you can see for yourselves that this is a reality. And maybe it's not such big news to everyone. I think everyone's now accepting it, how much influence media has on us, how they're censoring everything and controlling everyone. But I don't think you should accept it. I don't think you should say, you know what, resistance is futile, and rather hold these people accountable, push back. Because we've seen through the lockdown, when people do push back, they bend knee. They have to. They have to. It's a matter of numbers. So even with all their technology and controls, they have to listen. But that's changing, people. That's changing. I should have had the clip from Wally about the media influence in this culture, how it's instantaneous. It's push button. Literally, people will forget historical facts or what happened yesterday, even with the click of a button, with what's being presented in the media at this moment. I mean, I'm not overstating it at all. If you know people that are completely in tune with media, usually it's the left that are fanatical and they're spouting all these things. You'll notice that. I mean, one moment they're don't be an anti-Semite. The next moment they're from the river to the sea, right? And that's because whatever media says, that's what they do, and they do it passionately without thinking.
I don't normally like Paul Joseph Watts, but he does have some funny stuff. And I liked his a really short video he did. It may have been taken down because he keeps getting in trouble. I support the current thing.
Yeah, support the current thing. That's hilarious.
He has some really funny memes. Like he has a bunch of these NPC characters with masks, and they're saying that those Ukraine flags, and I support the current thing.
Yeah.
Virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It's what everyone does it. As soon as you see a post on your socials and it's got anything to do with sticking up for somebody or anything like that, people will just share it anyway just to make themselves look good. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. I'm ticking the box. Yeah, well done. And they get the likes, and it gives them that self gratification, and you think, yeah, look at, I feel good now. It's
Vanity.
just it's like medication to some people, It's
we no longer need movie stars because everyone can be a minor movie star now.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone thinks there's something special now. It is worrying. People are no longer humble, and it's that used to be a very nice virtue to have, and it's now you won't see it. It's all me. Unfortunately, it's all self service.
Yep. And that all started with the selfies, and all of a sudden people had the Snapchat and were able to share these stupid little videos. And next thing you know, everyone's on YouTube and everyone's a content creator. And now they're more important than, everyone else around them because they have an audience.
Inclusivity, Me Too, all that. Yeah, BLM. Yeah, it's all designed, isn't it? It's just like, yeah.
Exactly.
Selfies have really hurt young women. I remember young women in my day we had our problems, plenty of them. We were far from chaste and a bunch of other things, but we did not all think we were that in a bag of chips. We did not all think we were God's gift to men or that we were gorgeous. If anything, we had very low views of ourselves, especially when it came to appearance, because we were comparing ourselves with movie stars and runway models. And back then, those women were gorgeous. They had to be.
Can you remember, like, it was only about 6-7 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Well, no, maybe not. People used to go, "You love yourself," and why do you love yourself so much? People used to say that. Now, all you got, like, you have everyone commenting on, like, writing statuses or sharing memes, and then at the end they'll put hashtag self-love, self-preservation, self this, self that. It's just what? It's like we've gone from one extreme to another here. What's going on? Where was the in between bit? It's just like, yes, everything's backwards now. It's a mirrored world. It's strange.
Yeah. So let me go back to mentioning. Okay, so here we see official CIA documents. Again, these are from various sources. I've shared the links in the chat, but I'll also put them in the description. So basically, you can see not only are they taking over media, journalism, and all that. The big radio broadcast of War of the Worlds is said to be CIA influenced, but they're also infiltrating clergy. Now, I would argue that in some cases around the Great Depression, early 20th century, that Masonic organizations infiltrated parishes. They use that as leverage, the destitute of society. So it just so happens that after a couple of major wars in the scare of communism, which was if you look at the Kennedy assassinations, that was pretty real and was followed since. But regardless, all this fear mongering and all that was used to manipulate people, and clergy had been infiltrated. People were being put into place basically to push certain ideas because they were authority figures. Everyone trusted clergymen.
Was that like the queer stuff and gay marriage and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean now in the 21st century, it's like literally going to hell in a handbasket. Like it's an outright public worship of Baphomet. I mean, literally, we have a statue in America in front of a government building in the South, which is supposed to be conservative.
It's incredible. I've seen there's a Christian lad on YouTube from America who goes to these LGBT friendly churches, and he laughs about 3 minutes in there when he starts preaching the word of God, and you can see the people change straight away. And it's you can always see what I call the demonic expression in their face. The same what you've seen when Bishop Marmari got stabbed the other day. You could see the demon in the attacker in their still photo that they took of him when he was down. They actually used a screenshot over here in the UK that I made myself. I sent it to GB News, which is a new independent channel for news in the UK, because they had enough of the the left wing ideologies that they were pushing, all the liberalism that they were pushing on TV. So they basically set up this new channel so that they can protect freedom of speech. And I screenshot the face of when the video was literally fresh. It was about 3 minutes after the attack, and I sent it into GB News. That got copied then by Sky News, then BBC News, which is state channels, and they used my photo that I did because I could tell it's mine because it had a little arrow that I put on there myself and a little emoji, and you can see half the emoji. I was crazy. I was like, hang on, that's mine. Like,
you should clip it and your evidence and make a video of that, and then demand royalty.
yeah, definitely. That got me really wound up. That did, because like that was my thing, and I said to GB News as well to get in touch with me because I wanted to discuss it, because I was the first one that translated some of what the attacker was saying in Arabic, and I was saying to GB News I called it a terrorist attack before anyone else did, because no one knew what the guy was saying, and then it appeared that it was, and because that went viral. After someone who I know actually made a video, he edited a video about it with the Arabic. Then Sky News Australia wasn't able to say that it was due to mental health. So we actually together, and he again used my screenshotted photo of the assailant. Together, me and this guy who I've never met managed to make sure that Sky News Australia didn't try and get away with, saying that it was due to mental health or anything like that.
Yeah.
And still, I don't know if anyone's seen, the Muslims are still trying to say that it was set up by the church, set up by Bishop Marmari himself. That's why the knife didn't work. And also, there was also rumors saying that it was a Zionist attack. Can you believe that?
And it's funny, like someone made a comment about that picture on, I think it was Protestant Believer. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. Forgive me. Whoever it is, take credit for this, but it's hilarious. He made a comparison of that moment to the Passion of the Christ, the weird, creepy baby walking through the crowd, and that creepy smile. Yeah,
creepy lady.
That's immediately what I thought when I paused it, I screenshot it, and I thought, yeah, that reminds me of the devil in the Passion of the Christ. And I thought that's when I fired it off through email to GB News, because this was within 5 or 6 minutes of the first video going on YouTube. I had a notification go through, and I said, "Tell me that's not Satan." I said, "Tell me you cannot see the evil in that man, that you cannot see a demonic entity through that man's eyes."
Yeah.
And before you know it, the picture was literally up within about an hour on the news. I was buzzing, but I was also annoyed because I wanted to be in the background going, "Hey, that's my picture."
Sorry, go ahead, Rachel.
Have you seen a video of Nancy Pelosi when she was still the Speaker of the House, where President Biden was talking about a bunch of people dying horrible deaths in war in the trenches, and then she looks like this giant blowfly. Her expressions, her mannerisms, and I thought,
I've seen
Beelzebub. Beelzebub.
Yeah, I've seen this video where there's a mix of all of them. A lot of people from American politics, a lot of people in the Senate and stuff like that, and then there's also like a lot of musicians and famous people, celebrities. And you can see it. It was a crazy video. I'll have to find it again, but yeah, it's real. You can see it. It's clear as day.
Yeah, there's.
I never used to believe in that.
Right, but now you do.
I never used to believe in like demons taking over people's bodies. I find that one hard to believe. Like I couldn't get my head around it. It was the first obstacle I had with my faith. I must say, but then. After a while, when some videos come up and you can see the darkness, the black, and when I read a verse about, or I think it was a bit of scripture from a saint that said the eyes are like the windows of the soul, or you can see someone's soul through their eyes. It was a subject about that, and then that made me realize then, because you can, if you stare at someone long enough and they're a good person, you can see the beauty in them. But if you actually look at someone as well, also that's like that attacker. After a while of seeing all those people, and you can see it. You can see it as clear as day, and that really helped me. Like, get past that. One thing I don't agree with, and I'm sure sorry, but sorry.
No, go for it. Yeah.
You see some of these. There's some of these churches where you get what do they call them? They're like, is it called charismatic churches?
Charismatics, yeah.
Pentecostal. Yeah.
Just be careful because we have a lot of charismatics in these circles, especially. So just so you know, you're getting ready to step on some toes, but maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm half. One thing I see some videos that you see circulating on YouTube of people like running around in circles and jumping on the floor and doing all sorts of stuff like that. And some of it's quite funny, but some of it, like, I'm trying to understand it, if that makes sense. Now, I did watch a video which was quite interesting about speaking in tongues as well. Again, that was another obstacle that I had, but this speaking in tongues thing was absolutely genuine. That was strange, but yeah, this I seen like a baptism go wrong the other day on YouTube, where this guy was basically near enough drowning himself, and he could have actually died. And I don't know whether is part of it acting, or is I mean, sure, some of them have got to be acting, but is some of it genuine? I just can't get my head around it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a thing that I haven't experienced, so I wouldn't be able to say, I think a lot of things come with experience, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. I know Rachel and I have talked about this in the past. In fact, I think we even talked about it in a previous stream. But yeah, there is, and in fact, Una just made a comment related to that. There's some confusion, and let me just jump back again. Let me take this opportunity to step back to make sure I covered my topics with MK Ultra. And this is exactly, folks, what I'm trying to express through giving everyone the proofs of the condition. Not only just my saying it, but you can see all these things that they push deep into our psyche through timestamps and all that through my work. But MK Ultra, again, it's not a conspiracy theory. These are undisclosed documents now. They're public. MK Ultra is literally a Manchurian Candidate, where they were brainwashing people to do certain things. So it's not just the conditioning of the masses to do certain things, but the conditioning of individuals to even weaponize them. This is what the government has been doing in secret and is now made public.
Something that they copied of Yuri Bezmenov.
Did he say that? I don't remember that. But as far as the conditioning of the masses, absolutely, yeah, he did cover that.
I agree,
The MK Ultra thing, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was responding to a comment.
Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, as far as the demonic possession thing, it is biblical. Let me just throw out this political thing again. There was videos during the lockdown going around about Hillary Clinton doing this weird jerking motion thing. In fact,
that was it, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, the actress from the Marvels, I can't remember her name now, the blonde one, the first female lead actress, according to her, in mass media. She did this weird jerking thing during one of the speeches, which I have in one of my edited videos. You should check it out. I highly encourage you to do that. I think it's short. But also, Donald Trump did it, the same jerking motion. So, what does it mean? I don't know, but it definitely means something, because not everyone goes around, not even once, doing that. So there's something up with that.
Exactly, and there was another one with. Did you see Rihanna at the concert with her eye? That was strange as well. Like when they were trying to say that some of these people are cloned, they don't exist no more.
Oh yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Weird.
That was strange, Yeah, but if you look at it, It's something I had last night. I've been watching quite a lot of prepper stuff. There's a guy, he's doing my head in at the moment. His name's MY Prepper on YouTube, and he basically he gets quite a lot of money out of scaring people, and he's using the war currently because you've got what you call the DEFCON thing in America, where you rate the nuclear threat to
yeah. So yeah, that's been happening ever since the war with well, actually probably before that, but especially it was being enacted during George Bush's war with Saudi Arabia and all that. They started doing that level of.
Well, this lad that's on YouTube at the moment, he's trying to convince everyone that you're on DEFCON 2, and yeah, he's one of those preppers that probably got a bunker that he's done himself, like not properly, with about 3 weeks worth of food and stuff, and then there's one in the UK as well, which has just told us basically that when the Olympics start is it in France this time?
I have no idea. I should know, but I don't care. Sorry.
That there's going to be a major assault on the USA, Europe, Australia, and in the UK by all the immigrants that have managed to get into all these countries. And he did provide quite good evidence that a lot of them have got weapons. Like I know in the USA you've got the Second Amendment, haven't you? So guns are a norm to you. But here in the UK, when he uploaded a video showing that they had AK-47s and grenades, it was the most scariest thing that we've ever seen. Because obviously, if they've got guns, we haven't. That's it. So, to see something like that and to tell us and give us proof that the army have been monitoring the hotels and barracks that they've been put in. There have been secret raids that they won't put on the news. And recently, all the statistics that have got anything to do with crime, anything to do with like certain crimes like rape, murder, stabbings, that have anything to do with ethnicity or religion, they've not made public now. It used to be public, but now they've taken it away. So things that used to be general knowledge is not allowed to be general knowledge no more. It's completely gone.
Right, and that's only going to get worse now that officially the NSA is taking over the internet.
Yeah,
American-based internet. Yeah.
And this, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, this one lady, because I watched this one channel as well. This one lady was going on about saying that it's actually okay, talking about there's going to be 3 days of darkness or 3 days without electric or something. So everyone's prepping for that in the USA or something. I can't remember what, but she was saying, actually, don't worry, the immigrants are on our side. And there's so many like conspiracy theories going around. It's just like you don't know whether. I mean, I know that we're at the moment in the West, we're at the biggest threat of violence, of rape, of absolutely anything now because of the state of the illegal.
Let's make it specific. Let's not blame all immigrants for the behavior of Muslims. The Muslims are the problem.
I can't
Let's
say
call
it.
What it is. Terrorism.
Islamation or Islamization. That's it. Islamization. So Islamism. Basically, it's the biggest threat that we've got to the UK. The government have already told us that, but they don't like talking about it.
Muslim mayor of London, right?
Yeah, Sadiq Khan. Yeah.
But I mean,
and
again,
all
America,
four leaders.
All four leaders.
Sorry, go. All four leaders of the UK are Asian.
Okay, so but in America, we also have all kinds of government officials that are Muslim, well known throughout the world because their faces are all over media. Yeah, not to mention again, 2 terms of Barack Hussein Obama. So let's not overlook that one.
It's scary because Islam is the biggest threat to at the moment to the UK, and I was editing videos the other day of sheikhs
Forgive me. Let me wind us back because we're going off to another tangent on Islam.
Yeah,
We could
sorry.
talk about Islam forever. And I know you love to talk about Islam. We'll continue to do more streams on Islam for sure.
Yeah.
But let's focus on this one because again, things are changing Wednesday, and I don't want to lose my audience.
No.
So, yeah, taking us back to answer your question from earlier. Speaking of Islam and paganism and the evil and all that, you were saying that there's video evidence of people behaving in demonic ways. I got to tell you, I've got family members who are evidently possessed. When they speak, their eyes roll up in their head. I've had that experience. I've spoken about publicly. I believe it was with a video that we did recently. The what did you call it? The fireside chat talking about my life story. What do you call that?
Testimony.
Testimony. Thank you. Yeah, I might have mentioned the testimony where I had a good friend, or it might have been with Amir. I can't remember. At any rate, one of the lives I did, I was talking about a good friend in seminary who was, again, I saw for the first time and my only time in my life, a demon who was very welcoming, but a demon that was present in a chapel in seminary. But again, very warm and welcoming and illuminated, even though he was clearly a demon. And that was a signal for me to go back and warn my friend something's going on. And when I saw my friend, his eyes was also rolled up in the back of his head. So, I mean, you make it what you will, but these physical manifestations,
I want to see more of it.
Spiritual realm are very real. And I need to go ahead and address your thing that you're pointing about. We don't need this. Whether it's personal experiences or online video, we don't need any of that to confirm whether or not the spiritual realm demonic attacks are real. You know why? Because it's biblical. If Jesus Christ got rid of demons, of people being possessed, then is it not real?
No, of course. I believe that what I'm saying is I don't believe the way it's characterized. So, one of your viewers, one of your audience members, Una, said she believes that it comes in forms like schizophrenia, which is like a definition of explaining of what it is to me. That's what it's like, a name tag to put on it. That to me, I can correspond with. What I can't correspond with are people that deliberately drown themselves in bathtubs when a week before they were absolutely fine. Then all of a sudden the camera's about and then they start having epileptic fits and stuff like that. To me, I just can't get my head around that, if that makes sense.
Well, they don't like us. They want to destroy and kill.
The demons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, again, I wouldn't necessarily fear the demons. There's plenty of saints, for those who are willing to believe in that, who talked about, just a simple sign of the cross will cast out demons. So, I have my faith, I have my belief, I have, and again, this is actually something we did cover in our testimony, a Christian apologist, is how at one point I thought I might have been possessed. I went through that for over a decade. And it terrified me. And in a very revelation kind of way, divine intervention, I was put at ease about that. So, but these things are, I mean, there's one first and foremost, don't play with it. Don't go voluntarily hypnotize yourself to an office full of all these pagan symbols throughout his office, like we saw in the scene in the movie. For those of you who missed it, check out the very opening of the stream. But yeah, so don't tamper with that. Again, that's how I came back to God, basically, as a young adult, by tampering with the Far East religions and that type of mysticism. And
I think I remember reading, I believe his name is John Anderson or John Anderton, but he wrote about how he wrote that we shouldn't, that even though he is like a deliverance minister and has worked with a lot of demons, he said that people should not see them everywhere the way some charismatic extremists do. They shouldn't focus on them all the time. He said that's like someone who focuses on germs all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Germs are real.
Yeah.
You don't want to play with feces or swim in sewage. But
exactly.
At the end of the day, you just bolster your body's health. You eat right and you wash your hands and don't play with doo-doo. That's how we should handle. That's how we should deal with demons. You don't base your life around fear of deadly pathogens like Howard Hughes. It's the same way with demons.
Good, well, very good analogy. I like that. Yeah, don't get OCD over the spiritual realm. That's a great point. And I got to add to that, reinforce it by even again the spiritual fathers. We'll talk about that. They'll talk about the Jesus prayer. The Jesus prayer is literally Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And so that's something that monastics and so on will use to, monastics and monathis will actually say that.
It's my favorite prayer.
Yeah, they'll do it like 24/7 to pray unceasingly, to have it in their hearts. But there's also the philokalia that focuses on the Jesus prayer and that kind of thing. But people that might recommend these things will also, or tend, if they're spiritual leaders, will tend to also warn you that they needs to be done in a way that's monitored, so that you're not doing exactly what you just said. You're not constantly focusing on the spiritual realm and concerned about demonic attacks and all that, and opening the door to that kind of thing.
I believe there's a reason the hermits, the people who chose monastic life where they were alone and cut off a lot, were forced to do were told to do manual labor. It was to keep them in the physical world.
Yeah, good call.
They do.
And monks people don't know this, but monks stay busy all the time.
Especially in Mount Athos. There's loads of documentaries on YouTube about them. They're amazing. They literally work from morning till night.
So on that note, let me share some good news for a change. We talked a lot about ho-hum stuff that was necessary, and I've mentioned this before, but there's something called the nun study. That is something that was done, I believe, around the early 80s, somewhere around there. It was done, it's very empirical, it's a longitudinal study. It was done in a group of nuns from Notre Dame. This person had noticed that they had much longer lives and much healthier lives to the very end. And they didn't suffer from dementia, or Alzheimer's. So he did a study on these nuns and all that, and he observed that basically that they have a physically active life till the very end. They also exercise their brain regularly. They'll do things like reading, doing puzzles, and memorization things, reciting these prayers and all these things that kept their brains active to the very end. And of course, something he didn't talk about in the study, but something that there certainly needs to be said, they had their faith, which of course alleviates anxiety and all these things, which is a detriment. Anxiety is a detriment.
Oh, can I add something here? I watched an amazing video. This guy who again from the States, he was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. I think it was pancreatic cancer that had spread all over his body. So he promised himself that he wasn't going to rely on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, or anything like that. He picked up a Bible for the first time and he read it from front to back. And by the time he got to Revelation, he was fully healed. It's absolutely incredible. And he's got the proof on there as well. Like he did it, he filmed himself doing it. And it was true. It's unreal. There's so many miracles like this that everyone's got access to on YouTube, even atheists. Everyone's got the same access to it, and it's just amazing that no one will look into it. It's like the saints; their bodies, they don't corrupt, and you'd think something like that would make an atheist think, well, surely something's going on here, and that it would make sense to them to investigate Christianity a little bit more. If their soul depends on it, it's either. There's a quote that I love that someone said once. I can't remember who it was, but they said, if Christianity is true, you have got absolutely everything in the world to gain. But if it is false, then you've got nothing to lose. So with that, you would think that most people would think, right, if there is a soul or if there is a God, then I need to find out. Because if there is eternity and there's only 2 places that I could end up in, I need to make sure that I end up in the right one. So, but they don't people are so blinded. It's just that, everyone, even I was, before I come to Christ, when I was at my lowest. Well, he came to me, but Nicodemus knows about that. But it's literally you just get brought up in a household, and you just, like, life is normal. Like, you just think you exist to die. And when you actually sit and think about it, and there's so many people I speak to, I say, do you ever ask yourself the questions, who am I? Why am I here? What's next? And they don't care. They don't care. It's so strange. But all these proofs that are out there for all these miracles, nobody wants to entertain it. It's just surreal. I just don't get it.
I think there's a lot of fear going on, and fear is an instrument of Satan.
Yeah.
I think, and we saw it again during the lockdown. This is a good example. I refer to it all the time. One, because it's still ongoing, but two, because it's just such a clear example of these things. Even though it's not that far away, it's also still 2020 to some degree, so we can all relate to it.
Exactly. And where there is fear, there's control.
Right, exactly, and that's what Yuri was also mentioning. But to put it in a spiritual perspective, it's absolutely one of the things that takes us away from God. I mean, when we have fear, that is reflective of an absence of faith.
Lockdown, they asked us to turn against one another and to view the human body with loathing and to hate other people and view them as nothing but bags of disease.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. About how it turned us against each other, and as you mentioned, Yuri Bezmenov also talked about that. But that's also an affront to God, affront to Christ. I mean, it's all about koinonia, about our synergy as one body with each other and with God. And that was obliterated. Literally, our churches were shut down by force, by military force. Mm-hmm. And we were turned against each other, and then we also turned on ourselves.
Because a lot of people who call themselves Christians were horribly afraid of death. They were cowards.
Well, this was decades in the making. There was all kinds of movies that led up to this, all kinds of behaviors that are already implemented in our minds that were, the germophobia, this whole hand sanitizer thing and all that was implemented years before. Orientals would travel to European countries with muzzles on years before the lockdown. All these things were already put into our heads before they implemented it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me also point out, we talked about this before, I believe, Rachel, but some of the major things that were instilled in us, not only regularly through media, is anxiety, but especially during the lockdown. Okay. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the isolation.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the self-policing, but also they've been pushing for decades now, drug abuse, and especially through the lockdown, especially if you include the lethal serums. But and the lethal serums were shown to attack the brain, the membrane to the brain. So that's why some people are having these initial instant nervous things, these epileptic things, and dying because of the spike protein damaging the brain, penetrating the brain barrier, right? This is coming not from rhetoric, but from the scientists themselves, including some whistleblowers that were being silenced by media.
Yeah.
But let me just focus again on anxiety and isolation. The other thing is physical damage that we've talked about, the drug abuse. But the anxiety and isolation are two major factors, two major causes of psychosis. And that's what they did. They drove us to psychosis.
Right.
And then in some countries, I can't speak for all, but some countries, in essence, it was taken away. But in some countries, it was literally taken away. Those that are socialists, the ability to go and get help, not only for your physical ailments, but also for the mental things that were being done to us. This OCD, this fabricated OCD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I feel like I really don't want to see my I've been recommended, my family has been concerned about me. They've recommended I see a therapist, but because therapists tend to be conformist, you know what I mean? I have been very
Yeah.
reluctant to see one.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Yeah. And then again, yeah,
If I told them what was bothering me, they would say that was proof that I was severely mentally ill and needed help.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they were. Forgive me. I'm speaking generally here. What they were conditioned to say, that you know what, you're mentally defective. That's why you're saying these things. That was a inundated, canned argument.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the facts when it comes to the CDC, the lockdown specifically, and then you know even these doctors in month 3, we had the frontline doctors who came out and gave all the statistics, who gave out all medications that show to cure this quote unquote plague that was killing less than 0.5% of the population, who by the way already had comorbidities. All this was shown out. The projections of, you know what, these numbers are absolutely insane. This is the reality. And in the process, all these bad things are happening. The depression, people, suiciding themselves because of the forced depression on them, people losing their livelihoods. This basically was an effect of depopulation that was implemented. And all the while, sites like Snopes were silencing us, fascist books silencing us, Google, YouTube, all silencing us.
Yeah.
So what kills me is that to date, nobody has been held accountable. Even though all this stuff came out in government hearings and civil cases by government agencies themselves, they had to report, at least to some degree, the fatalities involved, like for their forced vaxes, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, not a single person, not even Dr. Fauci, not even him, nobody was held accountable to date. And that's a problem. Why? Well, right afterward, we had the Ukraine, Russia, and you had to choose whether you're with Ukraine or Russia. I don't know why. We had now World War III, but what do we have between Ukraine and Russia and all that? We had some kind of other distraction. But we're always having some kind of major distraction where we're not addressing these things.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, yeah, going back to, I mean, basically, and that's what we're covering today. The NSA taking over, how that's significant, how we see all this censorship of the internet, how Christians are being silenced in favor of these mass media moonies that are spouting all these crazy things, including pedophilia and so all these sexual deviancies and hatred and malice, and also Islam. And Christianity is being supplanted basically by paganism and evil and virtual reality. Yeah. And as we all shift and migrate towards virtual reality, being back. Okay, so Christian apologist had to bail out. So basically, all this stuff being forced on us. I lost my train of thought now. I apologize. Well, I guess it's not. I mean, honestly, it's not important, but I mean, folks, it's a problem. We need to fight back because now everyone is being shifted to virtual reality. That's what I was saying. Especially the youth who are not old enough to have seen something different, to have seen a lifestyle that's different, and therefore they don't know any better. Those are the biggest victims right now. But all of us are. So we need to, I know it sounds crazy as a content creator to say this, we need to unplug. We need to, fight back, keep pushing back. We can't just sit on our laurels and wait for Jesus Christ to do it all for us.
Amen.
Yeah, we need, faith without works is dead, right? So, yeah. I'm sorry I went on a rant, but I wanted to make sure that was set before we ended, and then Christian apologists, bowed out. So he basically had something personal come up, so everyone will know. And
my blood sugar is getting funny. I have diabetes and haven't eaten since.
You have to go too. All right, so let me just say one more quick thing, and we'll end it. I really wanted to close with a prayer, but that's right. So let me just also warn people about Ron DeSantis. I witnessed personally at the invitation of a politician. I can't remember her name now. Laura
Boomer.
Boomer. Thank you. Yeah. So I watched this Florida government basically give social media absolute autonomy, their algorithms. And therefore, look at now how AI is taken over. It's taken over everything. It's taken over writing. It's taken over video making. It's taken over us. And while we're now plugged in completely into virtual reality, everything we do is being dictated by AI, and there's no legal accountability thanks to Ron DeSantis' government now. You can't. Governments can't even look at their algorithms to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is a huge, huge problem.
Well, Nick.
Bottom line, www equals 666 in Hebrew, people.
Yeah.
Look it up. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Rachel, closing thoughts?
Well, maybe it won't be such a bad thing when they kick us offline altogether. We just need to prepare ahead of time for that.
Yeah. Or actually get active now, because the ahead of time, I think, was years ago. I think now it's the 9th hour. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So would you like to close out with a prayer?
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Please be with your children around the world. Please unite us against the coming threat. They have technology. They control the media. They control the devices and the toys. And they are united through all that, the currency. But we are united through your blood, through the hope of the resurrection, and through the gift that you have given us, which is the Holy Spirit. I ask, O Lord, that the prayer of God the Son when he was in the garden, waiting to be crucified on our behalf, I pray that we may be one, as you, God the Father, are one with God the Son in heaven. In Christ Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. All right. Thank you very much for your time and your work. And you're welcome anytime you want.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Good Sunday. Bye.
God bless.